Welcome to Fuel. Fuel stands for Finance, Unity, Empowerment, Legacy. Now, here are our hosts, Dennis Sawyer, Dr. Jackie Moore, and Lewis McIlwain.
All I'm trying to say is that money is a weird thing, and the things that we're taught to run from, investments, insurance, bonds, you know, all those things that can make you rich beyond your dreams, we're taught to run away from. But everything, every person, I mean, there's people who drive cars. You can't drive a car in the United States without insurance. And a lot of people, they get those darn $1,000 iPhones, which I still don't get, but they got to get insurance on them. And you're gonna walk around with $1,000 phone in your pocket, you better have insurance. But the most valuable thing that they have, Mac, they don't insure. So when you're trying to build a country and you really don't have money, you put out a bond. You say, hey, I'm going to sell parcels, stock in this organization. And what was the original stock market? Black folks were the original stock, and then cattle, and then businesses. Cotton was the number one money maker in the United States, on the South. And a lot of people don't understand that with stock and insurance are two of the investments. And I know I keep saying it over and over again. I'm only doing it because people need to know, you know. Um, Something that you told me, Mac, is that when you're here in the United States, this is Mr. World Traveler, ladies and gentlemen. When you're here in the United States, it costs you, and if I, I'm sure you'll fix me if I say the wrong number, 7 times more on cost of things. Was it 7 times more?
Yeah, you could like about 7.5 times more.
7.5 times more to live. I mean, that shirt in the United States would probably cost $100, but in the country he's in right now, it was $650. Cheap son of a gun.
Yeah, let's make it even more obtainable to our people since they might be listening right now. So I have a barber that you know how it is, man. You don't let too many people touch your head.
That's a fact.
Okay, so I I will pay for the comfort of knowing that when I sit in my barber's chair, I don't have to tell him nothing because he knows exactly what I want and he gets it right every time.
Every time.
However, his price is 7.5 times greater than what I pay for my barber here, who I also have confidence in, and I sit down in his chair at this point with the understanding that he knows exactly what I want. What does that mean in real dollars? Basically, it means that by the time I give a little tip with my US haircut, I'm actually out of pocket $35. Okay? For that same cut in Guatemala with tip, the equivalent in US dollars would be $5.
Oh, Dr. Jackie and along with a group of people, we spent time in Thailand. And the most amazing thing is it was 34-1
Woo!
at the time that we went. I don't know what it is right now.
Okay.
And that's what Forex trading is all about, just in case people don't know about Forex, foreign exchange. 34-1. So you could go over there with $500 a month and multiply 500 times 34. Okay, now I think that's like 15, $19,000. Sorry for the quick math. I don't have my calculator here, but yeah, that's a lot of money. And
Yeah.
live like a king with a penthouse and a maid. We had a personal driver and we were giving him $1.25 a day. And we were trying to give him more. He's like, oh, no, no, no. That's more than I'm making a month. $1.25 times 35,
Mm,
34.
wow.
And that's almost $40, $50, right? $40 and some change. So that's what the foreign exchange is all about. So I talked about insurance. I talked about bonding, but foreign exchange is the difference in the cost, the price of your dollar bill versus other countries. Now, Matt takes advantage of it, and he probably tips his barber a quarter. In I'm just using that number. I'm not saying that's what he does. A quarter in Guatemala, but when he comes to the United States, he got to give that man $5 to $10. And how to make your money last longer. So, Dr. Jack, do you remember when we went to Japan? Oh, you got your
Oh,
phone
yeah,
muted.
you're muted.
So in Japan, and I forgot what was the denomination? Was it the yen in
Yin,
Japan?
yin.
Yen. Mhm.
Okay, the yen in Japan. Forgive me for getting trying to remember these things as some, but 10,000 yen was about the same as $10, right?
Yes.
So we went to a dollar store in Japan, and I think they called it the 1,000 yen store. It was really funny in Tokyo, actually. And to us, it was a bargain because everything was so expensive in Japan. To find a 1,000 yen store was amazing. But what about Spain? I think we were in the euros in Spain. To find out that the euro is worth more than the dollar, it was kind of messed up because we thinking we're getting a bargain, but we're actually paying more. And
Yeah.
then what else we've been, Mac?
Well, let me chime in on that one because this is kind of for our audience. This is kind of a way that I can introduce other things that I do outside of fuel. So I happen to be the executive director for Thirst No More Corporation, which is a humanitarian nonprofit that specifically deals with providing basic essentials to communities, both local and international. With that said, when you were talking about Japan, it made me think about a project that I actually have going on right now, like literally right now in Rwanda, where we are building a school with a smart classroom, training center, hostels, and recreational areas that is in the rural area that's called the Bugesera district, which is located outside the capital city of Rwanda, which is Kigali. So I wanted to bring that up because in working with the organization that is my partner in that area, we determined that the first step was that we had to buy the land. And so that's where I took one of my for profit businesses to, to donate to the nonprofit in
Wow.
order to actually purchase the land. And in fact, the for profit is specifically used just to be able to fund my passion, which is whatever nonprofit endeavor that's going on. So, to give you real numbers, in Rwanda, the currency is actually the Rwandan franc. So there's a little bit of France mixed in there. So you have the regular franc, but you also have a Rwandan franc. The code would be RWF. So the Rwandan franc is 900 times greater. So what that allowed us to do, Dennis, Dr. Jackie, was to be able to purchased around 250 acres of land that we ended up purchasing for roughly $20,000.
Wow.
So we own the land. $20,000, of course, from the U.S. perspective, is nothing. But in that area, we purchased enough land you can't even see the end of it. So just for our audience to understand just what you were talking about as far as the foreign exchange, as far as the power of money, understanding how it all works from a currency perspective, and how to take advantage of that, because I'm going to tell our audience I take full advantage of whatever area that I am working in. I've tried to figure out the loopholes legally to make sure that we're getting the best deal. Bottom line.
But that comes to about $80 an acre.
Just saying.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Man, I don't have anything to top that, because all I do when I take my granddaughter on these trips, we just go shopping. So I can only give you shopping stories, like in Spain and Vietnam now. Oh my gosh. Now I don't remember the exchange rate, but we did pretty well in Vietnam. Do you remember the exchange rate in Vietnam, Dr. Jackie?
No, I was trying to. I do not.
But we just to give you an idea, we booked a tour to one of these mountains. It's a mountainous country, and it was the longest cable car in the world at one time. And we went to this huge building. It was like $50. We got in the cable car. It went to the top of one mountain, over to the top of another mountain, to the top of another mountain. And we thought we'd get to the top of the mountain, go to an overlook, turn around and come back. But when we got up there, they gave us food. They fed us in this Disneyland looking place on the top of the third mountain. And for $50, I'm sitting there like, okay, how much did we really pay? I mean, what was the exchange rate? And I'm sorry, I don't remember it right now, but it would have easily cost $500 here just to ride the cable car, then to get fed. And they were having a beer fest up there or something. So I don't drink, but it was free beer, and they gave you these free mugs. And I'm sitting like, man. Now, we didn't have a whole day to spend there because it took us a couple hours to get there. And I think the cable car ride was about a half hour or more, going in each direction. And then, then they had rides. And it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen outside of the United States. But the United States, you drive, you go in the parking lot, you go to Disney World, you ride the monorail, and you go to the parks. So, and if you go to Disney, you're not going to spend $50. Okay. Maybe for parking. I mean, even during COVID, if they're open, I don't even know. So exchange rate is another thing that you can take advantage of to further your financial goals. Insurance, bonding, exchange rate with money, and exchange rates with cryptocurrencies. The United States is a little bit behind. They don't know what they're going to do as far as taxes, and is it really a currency? But in other countries, man, you can live like a king on a little bit of Bitcoin. And there are thousands of different currencies out there. I'm just using Bitcoin as an example. So that is foreign exchange. I mean, that is part of our financial literacy, right? To teach people. Mac, I got to ask you this question. It's a little bit different. Do you own any cows and goats down there in Guatemala?
Oh, plenty. Believe me, Dr. Jackie and I were just talking about that earlier, where she wishes that I would actually post something other than the cows.
Oh my God! See that's wealth talking. Because it used to be when you got married, and since you're the most recent person to get married, you'd have to give the family like 10 cows or 10 goats or something as a dowry. How many did you give to Myra?
Well, in this case, because we did a U.S. style, it's more about diamonds.
Diamonds
But
and pearls.
you're right, exactly. Why do I feel like Prince is here now? But
Well, you know, Dr.
but
Jackie's wearing purple over here, right?
I am.
exactly, exactly. But but honestly, those practices are still very much alive, even in this region. So it's so interesting that you brought that up because uh, in the places that I've traveled, specifically this is Central America and also the continent of Africa. In many cases, those are requirements. Some type of property is
Dowry.
given to the household of the bride
Yeah.
before you can even maneuver that marriage thing. So, interesting enough, um, I have an adoptive daughter. Her name is Amy. And we were talking with Amy last night because we can see marriage in her future. And we were just talking about like the rings, and what I found out, and I didn't even know this, like in Guatemala, uh, it's not that important that a woman is given a diamond ring. In fact, most of their rings are really just glass. They're not even, they're not real at all. The value's not in the ring. And I thought that was really interesting as my wife was in the room with her bling. And I thought about it and I was like, girl, I should have married you over here.
Oh, she was smart. She said, let's go to America. Everything's free in America. Hey, Matt,
Yeah. So, but again, those same cows that Dr. Jackie wishes that I would stop putting pictures on Facebook of.
So I'm going to correct that.
Yes.
That's not what I said.
Okay, whatever. I'm teasing. But to the point, what we're talking about now, if you were to actually accidentally hit one of those cows, you will be paying more for the cow by thousands of times more than you'd ever for the ring that you put on your wife's finger. So, I mean, just since we're going international with this conversation, I think for our audience, it's important to know like objectives of what it is that you're actually trying to achieve, understanding the culture that you're living in, and being able to make sound decisions in order to fuel your futures. So, it's an amazing thing here, literally from a lifestyle perspective, as you've already said, Dennis. It's way more expensive for me to live in the U.S. And because of COVID, last year I spent 10 months in the U.S. and I haven't spent 10 months in the U.S. for anything in a long time. And my budget felt that 10 months.
Wow.
So I'm actually glad to be emancipated for a few.
That's from a wealthy man. So let me ask a question, Dr. Jackie. You ready?
Yeah, I was okay.
So
Yes.
what is money? What is money?
So put me on spot. You should let me do it.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I was thinking, let me answer your question. It is a commodity, a way to further because I'm looking at it as a commodity because we talked last time about money as a tool. And so this commodity in the US is that ching ching or the paper. But that commodity in Guatemala are the cows and the goats and the pig. So and that's what fuels that your future in that location. And that's what I hear you saying. So we spend or trade or barter the animals like we spend or barter trade our money. And so I look at it as more of a way to advance through commodities.
So, Mac, I'm gonna throw something out there and see if y'all agree. What
Okay.
about it just being an exchange of value? Your time for money, the cow for money, the diamonds for money, a dollar here for $34 there. So, what do you think, Mac?
Well, as Dr. Jackie was sharing, um, these letters came up that spell fiat, and that's kind of where my head is these days, and kind of what I want to stress to our audience is that my whole concept of currency has changed, and so I know what Dr. Jackie's talking about when she's talking about a commodity. I don't know if I look at it as money, paper money. I don't know whether commodity is the word I think about. I do go back to that word tool because that piece of paper that we call the US dollar, in and of itself, is just a piece of paper.
It's a piece of
Now,
paper.
we've we've applied kind of a empty value to it, and depending on the marketplace determines how strong or how weak that value is. The opposite of that would be something like, gold, silver, jewels, things like that, minerals, even to our cows, which in Espanol is vacas, even to the cows and to the chickens and goats or what have you, which can be given as gifts, um, that have a value that actually has substance to it. And you could argue, depending on how you use that cow, goat, or what have you, can have long lasting value that can actually go generationally. So I know I went all the way around the world with this answer, as always, but you know, if hopefully I'm back on track with what was actually asked. So I just see that we need to understand that when we go to our local ATM and or go to our computers and look at our bank statements or what have you, that those numbers are just numbers. They're they're not real. They don't have any substance to them outside of whatever community or society puts on them, which is why they can go up and down at any point, even to the cryptocurrency world, where again everything is still based upon a value of something that you don't actually hold in your hands.
So,
I got a
so
question.
Mac, when you look at the word currency, so maybe not commodity because that's what you're purchasing with, but a currency. The
Yes.
currency, um, when Dennis said, "What is money?" we conjure up the dollar bill, and some places conjure up what they feel the yen is, and other places conjure up. I think that words get the definition based on what we give it. And
Okay.
so money, currency takes on the definition of where you're using it, and has a value, as you said, based on the market that goes up and down. So if for whatever reason a cow has more value, then a pig has more value, then a goat has more value, etc., it could be still looked upon as the means of currency to get whatever, to build the farm up, to build your life up, to use as a dowry. Someone can say, well, I'm going to give you some coins to marry. And they said, no, I'd rather have your herd of cows because that is more valuable.
Right.
So the currency takes on the definition of the peoples, of the location, of the.
Okay, let me give you an example why I
Okay.
asked that question. You're lost in the desert. Two men walk by. One offers you $10,000 for your boots, and the other one offers you a gallon of water.
Easy answer.
All right, okay. So now you live by a river, and the guy offers you a gallon of water or $10,000. You're
The
down there,
currency, baby. The currency.
you're in the mall, and somebody offers you a gallon of water or $10,000. You know, that's why I said I think it's exchange in exchange is a value proposition because you know what you need at that time could be totally different, but it might be like in the wintertime, you know, you might not need water as much because you got snow, but you might need firewood. In the summertime or during a drought, you might not need firewood, but you might need water. And so you can take the money and buy what you need at that time. But if you grow those cows, sooner or later, you're going to have to, I mean, depending on where you live, you might have to buy feed for them because the grass isn't growing or whatever.
Yeah, I think I think it's just really, going back to Dr. Jackie's point, it's really vernacular, because again, um, what we think about when we say currency, we do think about whatever
Our
the
definition is.
yeah.
Denomination.
So I still see like kind of a line of demarcation between currency and commodity. But the other word that kept popping in, and this is a word you like to use a lot, Dennis, is maybe what is money is one question, but maybe the other question is what is wealth? There may not be any kind of way for that man to or woman to be able to get any better value in their environment from anything other than the herd that they have.
Right. Which is like Dr. Jackie has a PhD, but I also have a PhD. My PhD is public high school diploma. Her PhD is from going to school, and her PhD is worth a lot more than my PhD.
Hey, Dr. Jackie, do you see my face?
Yeah. Shaking my head.
Well, I'm just talking about value here, okay?
But that
Hey,
is
you
the essence
probably
of.
stayed up last night. You probably stayed up last night trying to work on that PhD thing, didn't you?
But you know what? The value is the essence of the conversation, and not only that, the priority that you place on it. So individuals will um, often look for investments because they're looking for growth before they look at foundational stability with their money. And so you need to set up an understanding of how to how money functions in your life. And And that's one of those statements we say, do you know how money works? And people say, I go to work and I get money. I go to a store and I spend money. But that is not really the understanding of how money works, or how currency, or how money serves as a tool for building this foundation that we're talking about, for building that future that we're talking about. And I don't think a lot of people understand it. I think they look at it as functional. So even individuals who are bartering cows, because it's their currency. And as you said, an individual may be more wealthy because of the number of cows he has versus the one who has the pot of dollar bills. And I think there is that understanding of how you use it to grow and allow for stability and for generational.
It made me think of a story somebody told me, that they were investing for their niece. And they used their money to invest for their niece. And then the niece called and said, how much money do I have? How much money do I have? Because I want to spend it.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
means that means that you had the value, or that person had the value, and the other person wanted to spend it. So it does depend on where you are and what you want to do with it.
Absolutely, and I guarantee you, we all have stories personally of just such a scenario where we have that person that's just figuring out, how can I spend it?
I got, yeah. Oh, I have an account. Wonderful. When can I touch it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so true. I have individuals who set up different vehicles, and I think this one I'm thinking of has had it 2 months, 3 months, and on the phone in my ear, how much money do I have? So, but you see, that takes me back to the need for education, because that particular individual gained the understanding of the need, but didn't get the rest of the lesson.
Right.
And so it's so important for this platform that we have, where we can talk about it, and a viewer can come on and say, well, they talked about that stuff, like, but you listen again, because there'll be another component of it that will help you understand for that next step. It is not one lesson and done.
Right.
It it is multiple hits to get the full understanding. And so what I said to her, we need to talk, because you need your next lesson. So we do need that education, that financial literacy.
So
So
I want to say a phrase from my favorite show, Star Trek. Spock once said, it's a hard thing to understand, but I find it to be true. Sometimes to want is greater than to have.
Hmm.
In the human psyche. And
Right,
I
right.
know I messed it up, but uh, this is why we are here to fuel our generations. We want to have real talk, right? Sometimes we don't need to talk about the price of a gallon of milk, because you shouldn't be drinking it anyway.
No,
But
really
um,
shouldn't.
but to understand the relationship of money where I live, to the money where Dr. Jackie lives, to the money where our world traveler lives, we need to know that we can live a better life somewhere else. Most people live and die within 30 miles of where they're born.
mhm.
Most people, not all, because some of us go to college and then that becomes our 30 miles. Because I'm within 30 miles of my college, Howard University. But the point is, I'm from another state. and I've been around the world. And there are a lot of places I like to live for a little while. But when I get back to the United States, my goodness, I'm a vegetarian and I go get a hamburger and I go get a chicken wing and I'm like, oh, I'm home again. And, and then I go out because, Chinese food in America ain't like Chinese food in China.
Mm.
Pizza here ain't like pizza in Italy. And tapas is not the same here as it is in Italy. Oh, I did Italy twice. Well, anyway, Spain, Barcelona. So when you go to these different countries, and Jackie, you've been to Brussels, right?
Yes.
Brussels, and we've been to Germany and China and Canada and Hawaii. And, the malls all look the same, but that exchange rate can make or break you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what financial literacy is all about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, man, I think you capped this off pretty good. Just for the record, because I feel like this is World Traveler Day. Um, so I'm going to get mine in while I can. This year, I have every intention of actually going to two places, one being Rwanda, the other being Nepal, where I also have a pending project in that region as well. But I was thinking more so about Rwanda because the beautiful thing is on that same plot of land that we were able to purchase, I am also planning to build a third home for me and my wife because as we travel to these places, it can be an inconvenience to be put up in other people's homes. So it's better to just have your own, and that way you're not a strain on anyone. Plus, your dollars work not only to your advantage, depending on the exchange rate, but it also helps boost the economy of the place that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So we see it as being kind of like a double blessing in that way that we can help a country as we're enjoying the lifestyle of that country. I just wanted to cap off on that.
Wow, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That is cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So I guess. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say you also have helped Jackie and I. We ran across a church out in Southern Maryland, I believe, and you helped us out there also with book bags and different items for the children out there. And I always like to thank you for that because when I was sitting there trying to figure out who could I get to help in this situation, and your name was the first one that came up because I know of what you do in Guatemala and Rwanda, and now you just added another one I didn't know about, and I think you said Nepal.
Nepal, yeah,
I just wanted
which
to make sure.
for our viewers is South Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. That's why I wanted to make sure. And wow, that's just wonderful. And Dr. Jackie has a great ministry in her church, and I'm just the guy who likes to look up about money. I need to expand my game, and together I think we can help a lot of people.
That's true. I know, guys, we probably should have wrapped up a long time ago, but I think that this might be important just to kind of end off on because many times we talk so much about money, finances, currency, commodities, however you want to term these phrases. But I think also you can really advance your cause for fueling the next generation when in actuality you put others that are in need ahead of your own personal situation.
Mm-hmm.
In that way, your efforts in order to create wealth is not just about you and your family, but it also can help communities. And that's really been the difference for me, which is why I'm sitting here in Guatemala right now. And why I go to the places that I go, they're not recreational for me. They are actually planting seeds for future generations in another kind of way, using the things that I learned through fuel as the substance to make sure that when we turn the ignition, that engine is going to run.
Mhm. All
I
right.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much about the mission, and as we're, I think, saying closing statements, um, you look at your own understanding of the question that Dennis asked me, what is money? What's your definition of it? What's your use of it? You look at how it has affected your life, the having or not having, but also that priority of use that you have. And we all have heard, Girl, I work hard and I'm spending every little bit." And then when the weekend comes and they say, "I got paid on Friday and broke on Monday." And we laugh about it, but it is not laughable. But it is truly a reality for many people. But it was because of many of those things, application to my life and the lives of my family member, that I really took to heart the need to have a better understanding, because I know that the information's out there. So if somebody else has it, how come we don't have it? If that other person who we see and think they have what we call wealth, how come we don't see anyone in our family moving there? And is there a way that we can help promote and help? And I think it is through education and the understanding. So wherever you are and whatever definition, you still need to know by the code of which you live.
Wow. Wow.
Excellent.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn,
Then you're gonna close this out, Doctor Max. Excuse me. I
Mac.
I
Yeah.
just realized that I have an orange background and it makes me look really good. It really goes really nice with my skin tone. Uh,
Oh.
I want my face on a dollar bill. So to me, everything that's been said today is a culmination of all the time we've spent um, wasting money, playing with money, you know, but no one really told us how to learn how money works. You know, when I got in college, I didn't even know how to write a check. And when I got out of college and got my first job, I started doing everything that I was taught, get a 401k like Dr. Jackie talked about, and then I was going to retire happily ever after. But my coworkers talked about putting money here, putting money there, getting into real estate, getting into stocks, getting in. And I was like, man, I'm this age and no one ever told me about this stuff. So I started doing it and it really put me on a trajectory to retire early. And United States, I think retirement is 68 or something. I don't even know. I'm not there yet, but I retired almost 10 years ago. And I say almost because I can't remember. Matter of fact, I think I had to call Dr. Jackie this morning and ask her what day it was. That's what retirement does for you. Because I'm like, is this Saturday or Thursday? She said Friday. I said, oh my God, trash day. But the thing is, you got to live your best life. And you do not, I don't want to say do not, I don't want to make it sound so hard, but do you really want to exchange your time for money? 8 hours a day at a job for a boss that doesn't appreciate you, for an amount of money you can barely take care of your family? These are the things we have to look at. And I looked at them all when I became a single parent. Um, I wasn't a single parent at first; it was easy, but when I became a single parent, it became hard. And as things have gone over these years, I realized it's not just about me. Like Max said, it's about who else you can touch, who else's life can you change.
Mhm,
And then,
mhm.
you know, this background is really great. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say.
Mac, can you close us out, please?
Yes, yes. Well, hey, everybody. Again, we thank you for hanging out with us. We also thank Dennis for making sure that he had the perfect background for his profile and for his full face image. So we are very grateful to be able to come to you to share the things that excite us about fueling our next generation, fueling our futures, and fueling the right now. You guys take care, and we will see you the next time.